hooking someone with manipulation is hooking someone with manipulation, because that's an even worse prize, right?
Okay, good, because I don't even have one interest in being like that, so I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, good. No, being upfront, direct, and honest is a great way of getting insecure, neurotic people as far the fuck away from your ovaries as they should be. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Like, if a guy can't handle me being forward and honest, I don't even want him in my life. Screw that.
No, look, if you're going for a job interview in physics, they're going to talk to you in physics, right? They're going to use the language of physics. They're going to use the language of mathematics. They're going to use the language of science. And if you don't know that language, they're not going to give you the job, right? So you want to speak the language of honesty and directness. And yeah, look, I'm time's ticking away. I've got a biological clock. Maybe you can freeze your eggs and buy yourself some more time or whatever. But no, be direct. Absolutely. Be direct. I mean, that way, when people run away from you, it's like, thank you for saving me time and money and getting me to the sperm donor that much faster, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't want a sperm donor. I want, a good man.
Right.
A dad.
Right. No, and sorry, I was being facetious, but no, I know you want the dad, and I hope that's what you get, though.
Yeah.
But if you want to be honest and direct with other people, who's the first person, Stephanie, that you need to be honest and direct with?
Me.
Okay. Do you feel that you do that when talking to me about your love life?
Oh, I'm sure I'm lying to me a lot. I'm trying to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm not assuming any malicious or negative intent, right?
Yeah.
But most people don't call us on our crap, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you find somebody who does call you on your crap in a positive way, right, in a way that makes you feel empowered rather than they use it as a way to dominate or humiliate or put you down or anything like that. But if you do find someone who calls you on your crap, that person is like gold, or like catnip, or a cracker to the bird that I believe is in your room. But that is a very important person to have around. Somebody who can tell you when you're not being true, when you're not being authentic, in a way that inspires you to do that, rather than to run away or feel bad or whatever it is, right? So if you want to be direct with other people, the first thing you need to be is direct with yourself, right? It's a gap analysis, right? You know all about this, right? So if you have a deficiency of listening, you need to work on your listening skills, which means really try and get inside the other person's head and figure out what they're trying to say, what they're really saying. If you have a deficiency of confidence, you need to work on your confidence. If you have a fear of being alone, then you need to work on that fear, and you need to, of course, recognize that it is nobody's job in the world to make you not alone. That's something you've got to earn. Like, there's nobody's job in the world to give you a job in physics. You've got to go earn that somewhere, right? There's nobody's job in the world to give you a PhD in physics. You have to go and earn that. And it's nobody's job in the world to be your baby daddy, to make you not feel alone, to get you married, to get you whatever, right? It's nobody's job in the world. You've got to go out and earn that. And the best way to have honest people in your life is to be relentlessly honest with yourself. If you want the best tennis players to play with you, what do you need to do?
Get better so I don't bore them?
Yeah, you need to practice your tennis. Now, if you practice your tennis and you practice your tennis, then you'll play with the best players. And if you want somebody who's virtuous and honest and takes responsibility and is sensitive and a good listener, you need to work on all that stuff yourself. And then naturally, like attracts like, you will gravitate towards those people and they will gravitate towards you. And all the people who are saying that you can somehow masquerade and fool and put powder and push up your décolletage and so on, this is all nonsense. You work on relentless self-honesty, relentless self-ownership. Yes, you have made mistakes. Please don't call yourself dumb. That is not true. You are not dumb at all. Please don't blame it on anything other than you chose not to confront your fears. You chose an easier path, and you found out, as everybody does sooner or later, as I did in my time and as you do now, that the easier path is the harder path, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, since I separated from my husband, I've grown a lot, and I'm kicking myself so much because it was actually a really good thing for me, but I was just so afraid that I kept putting it off. And if I had done this 5 years ago, who now, but we can't.
But there's a lesson in that, right, Stephanie? Which is, you have fears now.
Yeah.
And if you let fears dominate you and rob you of motherhood for 11 years, and rob you of a stable relationship in your prime man-attracting years, so to speak, right? Those fears kept you from what you really needed. Now you have fears now that are doing exactly the same thing, right? The lesson of the last 11 years is never let fear stop you. Never let fear stop you from listening. Never let fear stop you from making the right decision. Feel the fear. Right? You don't need courage if you don't have fear. The whole point of the virtue of courage is that it's got to climb over some mountain. We don't call someone an expert mountaineer because they climbed the steps to a Pizza Hut. So the fear is natural. But the lesson is, don't let the fear dominate your decisions for the next couple of years before your fertility window really begins to close in earnest. Don't let your fear dominate your future couple of years in the way that fear dominated your last 11 years.
Yeah.
And left you where you are now.
Yeah.
You made a choice you made a choice to avoid fear.
Yeah.
And to sacrifice your long-term interest for the short-term gain of the illusion of security, right?
But I was afraid both ways, so it's not like I avoided fear by not leaving him.
Well, no, but you would rather have low-grade anxiety than a big spike, right?
Yeah, apparently that was it.
No, right, it's like the smoker. The smoker says, well, of course I'm scared of lung cancer, but that's a low-grade fear. Quitting smoking produces a big spike in fear and anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Or like the eating, yes, I worry about being overweight and diabetes and joint problems and all of that, but changing your diet is going to provoke a lot of anxiety and upset, right? So it's the low-grade fear people will often choose, which then becomes the big-grade fear anyway. But people will often choose the low-grade fear over the big-grade fear. But, it's important to bite that bullet, right? And so you may have a fear of asking someone out now. You may have a fear, as I think you do, of pretending... Sorry. I mean, figure out. I think I put too many metaphor layers on. I lost track of where the hell I was. I think you have a fear that if you say, I really own my bad decisions, I'm not going to blame them on any external influence like love or insomnia or grad school or whatever, right? I've really made bad choices in the past, which is why I am where I am now. I think you're afraid of that making you look negative, right? And it will, to idiots.
Yeah.
But to anybody of any sophistication and self-knowledge, you being that upfront with recognizing the bad decisions you made is going to give them great comfort. Because if you've made bad decisions and you don't fully own and acknowledge them, anybody with any sophistication is going to recognize that you're going to repeat them.
Yeah. Indeed.
Would you like us to forward any interested parties?
Anyone in Denver? Sure. I don't want another long...
Yeah, because the last long-distance thing didn't work out too well, right?
Yeah, obviously who have a desire to make babies.
Yes, that's important. That may actually be the focus of the second date. No, I'm kidding.
No, I mean, way to scare... This is the other thing I'm worried about, is not just that, like, 30-something guys, like, being a 34-year-old woman who wants kids, like, that's kind of scary for guys in that age range, because a lot of... I mean, I guess for the adult ones it shouldn't be, but for the ones who aren't...
I'm sorry. Look, you want a guy with an IQ over 80, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so a woman who wants to date in her 30s most times is going to want to have kids, right?
I guess so. There's a lot of people that don't now, though.
Well, okay, but let's say that you say that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is what my wife said to me the second time we were ever alone together, right? She said, listen, I'm not looking for play, I'm not looking for a short-term relationship, I'm not looking for a fling, I'm in my 30s, I want to settle down, right?
And that didn't scare you away.
God, no, I mean, there's a woman who knows what she wants, she's expressing what she wants, it gave me I hugely respected her for being that honest. And, I mean, come on, you don't think baby ghosts are peeking over your shoulder when you go out on a date in your 30s if you're a woman? Of course they are, right? I mean, it's like you're pushing around this big pram on a date saying, oh no, I'm just footloose and fancy free, what do I care? Like, no, there's a pram here, of course that's the default position of a woman in her 30s, is that she probably wants to have at least a kid, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't bring it up, like, for God's sakes, don't try to be popular. You're trying to find love. And these days, as has been the case throughout most of human history, love is the opposite of being popular. Don't try to be liked. If you try to be liked, you will never be loved. Because trying to be liked is manipulative. And love is your authentic, take it or leave it, love me or hate me, who I am. Be who you are, be that beacon, own your mistakes, recognize your responsibilities, and don't pretend that kids are not in the equation when they are. That's called being honest.
Yeah. Well, I definitely am no longer ignoring that issue.
Right, and any man with any sensitivity, if he's dating a woman who's 34, especially if she was previously married, is going to say, well, what about kids? And if your answer is, as it will be, I really, really want to have kids, then a man who has any conscience, any soul, any heart, any respect for himself or you is going to work as quickly as he can to find out if you're compatible or not, and not waste your time if you're not.
Yeah, me too.
You don't sound at all like that's it. Possible, or...
I mean, I just spent a year and a half in a relationship that fizzled or whatever, so,
And I'm not sure if you told me why it fizzled.
Well, I don't know if you're gonna like my answer to that. So...
It was two virgins. Sorry, go ahead.
Funny, because I'm actually having a very good conversation with you and learning a lot, which I thought I would, but he started listening to your show, and he totally changed. His personality changed, and then he basically decided he couldn't have a family with me because I didn't agree with all his, like, I agree with some of this stuff that you talk about, but I'm I'm not a believer in much of anything that I don't see proof of, otherwise it wouldn't be a good science, right? So I'm not like gung-ho the way he is about all of your stuff. And so basically he was like, well, if we can't teach our kids that, the state is evil and wrong, then we can't have kids together. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to ever teach my children in a dogmatic way, whether it's that the state is good or bad. I want to tell them evidence, and eventually when they're old enough, they would decide what they believe. That's how I want to raise kids. But he wanted, to me, the impression was that he wanted to basically, I mean, I don't really know, I don't watch as much of your stuff as he has, but I didn't like the way he was talking about raising a family. And then he started to get really mean to me. He insulted my intelligence 5 or 6 times, which I know is just his self-esteem, because...
Wait. Okay, there's so much of what you're saying here. So, you've insulted your intelligence at least 6 times that I can remember in this call alone.
Yeah, in my decision-making. I will...
No. You insulted your intelligence 6 times at least. You called yourself dumb.
With love, I am dumb, I know. Or I call myself dumb about love. I know that.
I'm sorry, is the word dumb not an insult to someone's intelligence?
I guess when it comes to... for some reason I've normalized this idea that it's okay to be dumb about love because everyone is. Maybe that's why I keep saying that, and now it doesn't bother me.
Alright, okay, so you can insult your intelligence, but he can't, right? I mean, who taught him to insult your intelligence? I bet, my guess is, I don't know the guy, but my guess is that you invited him into that arena by constantly insulting your own intelligence. I just sort of wanted to point that out.
I don't think I...
And the other thing is, do you think that, I mean, what do you think it's like to be on the receiving end of what you're saying, just out of curiosity?
Receiving end of what I'm saying, as you or as him?
Yeah, as me.
I don't know, I mean, it would bother me.
What would bother you?
I don't know, it would maybe feel like I would be felt feel defensive or something. I don't know.
Defensive about what?
Like